okay, without medicine, without antibiotics. So essentially all about wellness. She said one of the key things was about starting with herself, and coming to herself. Uh, and she also persists that we should do our exercises, we should do all of those things that are important. Um, we just must do those things that are important. Mindfulness, and also what are you saying to yourself? Uh, so it was really a great session. I had a great time yesterday. And then she went on around the social media, um, how to be visible online. And she's promised to also avail insight and advice once you reach out to her on how you can properly best position yourself with regards to um, being on the media. One of the things she also said, which was critical about being on the media, is that there were days when, back in the days, people captured their legacy on scrolls, and that's graduated to parchment and then to books. And then from books, some are capturing it in movies. In this new world order, you also must be able to push out your message, what you want to be remembered for, or what people should also be able to, who knows, if Jesus tarries. These are things that generations unborn would be able ultimately to, see and also learn. So we shouldn't run away from media. It's also become part of us. And we also cannot abdicate our responsibility in the sense that, and this is, so there was a church, and so even religious institutions kept out of or stayed out of several other things. So it's important that we also now don't stay out of this, because when we stay out of it, we are not feeding the content that needs to be there, and it will be the content that is available that people will gorge on. And that will be really disastrous. Okay, and that's also tilting towards some of the things I'm talking about today. And I'll be sharing on the table. This for me is one of the most intricate um, principle that somehow can easily be, overlooked. And that principle is about the table. And I'm going to be taking a quote, just so that by Ronald Reagan. And I have another quote that I posted today earlier on in the group. Ronald Reagan, the former president of the United States of America, is late now. Great guy. Oh yeah, everybody has their own perception about him, but I think he's a great guy. Was a great guy. All great change in America begins at the dinner table. That statement is very profound, and I don't know how you can. It's so easy for you to miss the essence of that. For that, the essence of that quote. But let me even throw it open. Let's even make this morning highly interactive. Can you tell me what you think this quote, tries to, the message the quote tries to pass on? Can you just share what you think this quote tries to pass on? Is anybody willing to? It says, all great change in America begins at the dinner table. All great change in America begins at the dinner table. Is there anybody that wants to give it a try? As to, this is unusual, but I just thought to, yeah, give it to it.
Morning, team. Morning, sir.
Morning, give it to me. Yes.
My thinking is that every success starts within you. And I think that's something that you started with when you started the sessions, the camp, whereby you indicated that happiness must come within one's determination and belief. So if you can start yourself being content with what you want to do, how you want to do it, or how you want to be successful, then you would be able to achieve that. But you cannot just expect some people from somewhere to bring success to you, to bring changes to you, to bring everything for you so that you can be able to achieve what you want. That's my thinking.
Okay. Okay. So in the context of today's, so that's why I said it can easily be overlooked. So that's the table where we gather. And it was, so Ronald says, all great change in America begins at the dinner table. That means that decisions, the decisions that have altered, the course of this world, particularly for, let's even say with America, just starts at the dinner table. And you probably don't understand, so at every point in time when there's a swearing in ceremony, all right, you hear that there's a dinner, you hear there's a dinner, all right? Can somebody unmute? You hear that there's a dinner after the event. You hear about several other things about having dinner. When people are called to the bar, there's the dinner. Okay, so yes, Fentolua, please go ahead. Good morning.
Okay, good morning and good morning, everyone. I think that that phrase means that it speaks to socialization and it speaks to just like the conversation that goes around that most decisions are made in the bar. So I think that it speaks to being, for me, I think it speaks to socialization, being able to talk about things in an informal setting.
Yes. Okay. So, and this is not even becoming very religious, So the table, there's some scripture that says, "Thou prepares a table before me in the presence of my," things happen at the table. So which table are you gathering or are you seated on? And there's a Yoruba proverb or some saying that says that, and I'm going to first say it in Yoruba and then try to translate it. All right, that I bawon simbe, like bawon dasi. That means that if you're not part of something, you're not likely able to give an input. All right, and most times it's at the table that you can give an input. It's at the table that there could be exchanges, because at that point the guard is, every guard is loose. The ability for people to even hear you, it also happens. So you have boardrooms, and you have the table, you have the UN, and you have the table, you have decision making, platforms, and everybody must gather at the table. Okay, the table plays an intrinsic part. But let me read what Maya says. It says, Maya Angelou puts it, says, eating is so intimate. It is very sensual. When you invite someone to sit at your table and you want to cook for them, you are inviting a person into your life. It's not every time, so it's like the banquet. It's not every time that you get called to a banquet. At that table, so I wish I could just condense this well enough. Is that you can't, even as a family, you should have a table meet, all right, where you schedule it maybe once a month, once a week, just make sure that, for other families back in those days, and then dinner was like sacrosanct. And then the Sunday morning after church, yes, you are more relaxed. I love what you said, and you can speak freely. Go and watch it. If you watch some of the movies, the medieval movies and all, that typifies that decisions are taken at table, at the feasting. Lives have been shifted, lives have been changed, appointments have been made. Who is talking about you on the table? So that table, or those tables, what part of the tables are you, what associations do you belong? Let's even start to even identify some of the other tables beyond the family table. What associations do you belong? Which table are you speaking? yeah, I'm an introvert. We're not talking about that. We're saying that, are you strategic about your positioning, all right, and about how you play. So remember, by the time you come to Maya Angelou says that it's almost like you invite someone into your life. So it's like you're inviting someone to a table, or somebody's. Look at it now. When people want to go on a date, they're on the table. They're trying to understand each other, and from that table, decisions could be made to either make or mar the relationship. From tables, deception takes place. Manipulation is taking place. So if you go to the table unmindful of this reality, you'd have missed it. And that's why somehow and we said, how do you sustain? Because we are the third module of the Reinvention Immersion Bootcamp. And this module is on sustaining reinvention. So yesterday, we talked about the DIET, the diet. But diet's not necessarily only in terms of food, but in terms of your general well-being. We started off with balance, all right? And these are pointers to things that could disrupt your reinvention journey. And so today, we're talking about the table, all right? Because somehow, if you think that reinvention only takes place during the moments of silence, during the moments of affirmation, during the moments of visualization, or even in the process of mindfulness, and fail to understand that reinvention takes place almost everywhere, all right? And that your intention, you must be deliberate as to how you go to the table, because at that table, decisions are made. There are several references to the table in various journals, in various instances about life, that things have been altered. Wars have taken place. Wars have been decided on tables. The table is a very strong place. But are you gathered at the table? And which table are you gathering at? Where are you seated? So that's one. Then at your family level, amongst your friends also, do you occasionally gather at the table? And when you gather at the table, what takes place during those gatherings? Okay? It says, look, so the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development revealed that students who did not have the privilege of eating together with their parents or families were most likely to be trans at school. Did you see? A study had even been done that, hey, there's a great danger. If it wasn't about the family system breaking down, it was the fact that, yes, that also has its implication. But when family gather, when children gather, the older, the younger, see, the Americans, they understand certain things. You hear about Thanksgiving Sunday, right? Mercy, is that right? Is it Thanksgiving Sunday or something? Or Thanksgiving Day. And on Thanksgiving Day, you see people, you see that sharing, and we're going to talk about sharing, so let me not even rush about that. But that table, that gathering at the table typifies, the opportunity. Yeah, you want to say something, Mercy? Tell me about the...
Yes, I was going to say that the Thanksgiving is one of the biggest holidays in the US, like bigger than even Christmas or any other time. Families will travel distances just to be able to, like you're saying, sit at the table with family members, and it's something I even started doing when I came here, because I liked the idea of just coming together and sharing with friends who have become family now, and you will be amazed at what happens at those tables.
You see, look, this is it's not rocket science. It's that we're also we're not observing. And one of the things I need to, whether you are you don't even have a table, try and gather at the table. Make it so. For me, one of the best places I've been able to transfer insights, knowledge, even authority and power to my children has been at the table. Now, there was a time people, you see, don't let your frugality rob you of impacting your loved ones. Don't let, we can easily say, look, No, I'm very frugal. I don't like to spend money. I don't know why people should be eating out every now and then. Guys, there's some things that happens at the table. All right, and I'm running into that shortly. Now, Michael Simon agreed with that when he said every lesson I learned as a kid was at the dinner table. There are lessons that, because people, it's no longer compulsion. Yeah, there are other things that goes on the table, and that's why I say you must be deliberate and intentional. You also must pick fillers. You see, that's where you pick certain things. At the table, you have discussions about, and it depends on which other tables you are on, about the future, about what is going to go on, about what people are planning to do, even if they don't say it explicitly. So you must gather at the table. Remember I said the Yoruba proverb or adage that says, I bow on simple, I bow on that's it. That means that if you're not part of that table, that gathering, you're not likely able to contribute. You're not in any political party. You're not. Do you know that all of you in this room, on this call this morning, and anybody that will be watching the replay, the fact that you're on a reinvention journey entitles you or gives you easy access to be able to play a critical role in your nation or wherever you are at, or in any association. So are you in the medical sciences? Are you, whichever? Have you gone for any associations meeting? Are you gathered at any table? Just with your insight right now, you cannot but be one of the ex-official members. Can you imagine what will be happening at that table? Some of you work in institutions, do you know what it would, somehow we are responsible for the change that we want. We can alter the change that we want. Why do you think he says, thou prepares a table before me in the presence of my enemies? That there's a table. Yeah, but my cup running over. You see, by the time you start to express yourself at that table, even your enemies will become friends with you. That's one. Number two, it just gives you visibility. People will begin to say, we didn't know that Malebo was like this. We didn't know that Susan was like this. You mean you have this much insight? Because at that point, there's no, protocols are, dropped down a bit. But by the family circle is even one of the things I'm most intrigued in, because there's an exchange of ideas. So even Jesus had the Last Supper at the table. Do you imagine the kind of things that went on that table? Truth be told, The table concept is a call to reinstate order and fellowship with friends and families for immeasurable benefits such as is discussed below, which I'm going to list out now. And you know what Mercy said about the Thanksgiving Day? You probably won't know, but you see, that's one of the binding forces that we have today in the States that have stabilized that environment. And also, go and watch progressives. Even the Chinese, they have their table. They gather at the table. Don't be too African not to understand, because even the chiefs then used to gather at the table. But one thing I need to let you know is that a lot of people, the bigger they become, the shorter they make their table. Whereas that's not supposed to be, rather. The bigger you are and the more you begin to expand is to increase the length of your table. So look at the queen, the length of the table. That means that, because you see, you think people just go and sit down and eat alone. If you go there only to go and eat, you have just deceived yourself. Sometimes, if possible, you just put on your recorder or your notepad. Sometimes I write on serviettes, but I always have a pen, just so that you capture the lessons you cannot learn in years at the table. Anyway, so let me quickly run through and the table is an acronym, that I came up with, TABLE. So the first is time. The table presents us with time. Okay, that's the time you have to be able to, how would I say it? To be able to share, intently with people. It's it's an opportunity where you can have interpersonal bonding, a time to reflect and you reunite. It's a time worth investing. So if you are wondering, how should I expend my time? How should I spend my time? Another way to get to know people better is by taking time to attend to the table, being at the table, being present at the table. Please, when you go to the table, and today I didn't intend to talk about it, but maybe later on this evening, we'll talk about the tips at the table and how you should be at the table. You must be present at the table. It's not that we said you should go to the table and then when you get to the table, that's when you're pressing the phone, or that's when you're making calls. You must be present there. You must savor the moment. You must relish, even as you take a sip of, if you take wine, good. If you take a sip of whatever drink, you must be able to even express yourself with that. You must bring and weave discussions around the menu, about the food, the origin. Before you know what is up, you guys are, brewing on thoughts. You see, the reason why most people fall out of even relationships, I can say, is that they don't converge at the table. And when they converge at the table, they go to the table and they don't understand the sacredness of the table. The other thing is that the table affords us attention and awareness. You see, there are some things you can actually notice at the table. Just like when I go and play golf, you see, there are things you notice at the, while playing golf about your other players that you might never ever know, even if you're staying with them. Because there's a way that when they are at the field of play, almost like when people are at the table, they kind of start to get familiar with you and they begin to show or begin to exude the kind of things that they are capable of doing. You will know from the manners that how somebody, rushes their food. It points to something. You will know how someone, is not patient enough. You know how someone does not have courtesy. On that table, you be able to glean it. I don't know whoever is listening to this, but you must now be more intentional about how you go to the table. See, that's why somehow I encourage adults to, and even this generation, there's a generation now that we're breeding, and that they've neglected the table, number one. Number two, they go to the table and all they get to do is to gorge on the food, whereas they're supposed to gorge on ideas and insights. Oh, God. Anyway, okay, so at that table, in the state of awareness, discoveries are made, stories are shared, experiences are shared. It's a place where we we just bring in thoughts and begin to weave them, and ideas, and new ideas come up. New ideas come up. The third thing, there's the B, is blessing. Blessings. The table is a therapeutic place which blesses our soul, our spirit, and our body. So at that table, we experience a sublime transference of power, authority, and vision. Our coming together is a form of worship and thanksgiving, which provokes unimaginable blessings. Okay? You see, except you guys take up on naughty issues and people are not intentional and quarrel from the table. What I'm saying is that when you go there understanding that you're going to that table is not just to gorge on food or eat or drink, is that you are going in a form of worship, in a form of thanksgiving. What naturally happens is that you will get back that form of worship and thanksgiving, or what to be thankful about. I've had people get appointments at the table. I've had people have conversations that, okay, I think I should give you the thought. Okay, let me talk to A. But it depends on how you go to the table. Let me also share one principle, even though I didn't put in the book, but it just dropped in my mind right now. It says that I'm going to share two things about the table. He said, when you go and sit at the table of the wealthy, of the very rich, don't make food your priority. because even then they can just, I've seen where some people went and gorged on food, and the main thing they went for, the host got disappointed invariably, and somehow they missed the opportunity. The other thing is that when you go to a table, all right, don't go empty-handed. And if you have to go empty-handed, make sure that you leave an indelible impact. Do you understand? So I'm saying that if, for instance, you cannot bring a gift or something, give a gift of your own value that is immeasurable and out, that even people there will know that, no, this, in fact, this is. So just make sure that the table is a place for exchange. And when you're going there, you're dropping something at the table. Don't go empty-handed. And when we say empty-handed, we're not only talking about the physical. It could be in terms of the exchanges. It could be in terms of the engagement. It could be in terms of the thoughts and ideas that you drop there. Don't go and leave there empty-handed. Don't even leave there silent. All right? Don't leave there silent. There's a place for silence on the table. There are also steps towards that. But somehow, don't go empty-handed. Know that I'm going to offer value, because that's one of those chances you probably won't get even in a lifetime. Okay? I hope I'm making some sense. The L, so TABL. The T is time, the A is awareness, the The B is blessings, and then the L is learning. So we learn new things and model manners. I have a master, those I call my masters now, those that I've, like say I've done apprenticeship with, but these are people that have guided me, to form some of the things I now exude. And with my masters, one of them always said that the best form of learning is observation, and this is my particular master, if you look at his past and look at his present, you cannot reconcile it. But he says that the way he was able to break that jinx was by observation. So when he got to the dinner table, the first time he got to a dinner table, what did he do? He had to observe now. What did they carry first? Are you the one, there are some things that they didn't teach me. All right? And you also must start to be present and be aware. Don't become too frugal that you miss the opportunity for the future. You see, it's still part of preparation. So where are you showing up? So the first time, apart from when I was younger, that my mom would take us occasionally out. All right. I know we've done a few Chinese. They weren't so regular then in Lagos. We did a few eat in and eat out, but we always gather at the table, and then we always feast. My mom just loved feast. Well, those ones were done unconsciously. But by the time I started to grow older, I would deliberately, the same way I would deliberately go and buy shares or go and buy stocks in a company, even before I was 16. And I was just eager. I just wanted to be, part of things. I would go into a place and I would, like the first buffet I paid for myself. I just wanted to, and when I got there, I started to observe. Nobody told me that this is data. Nobody told me that this is, I just sat down and started to observe. And then, you say, oh, this guy loves food. The guy went there to understand the way of the, let me say, the Mohicans or something, that I want to understand the way of the people. Okay? Because you could be in an environment and you not be affected by that environment. I had to learn etiquette. No, I didn't go to any school to go and learn etiquette. But those things have paid off now. Those things you don't understand. Those things do you know that I've been with somebody, a very prominent person, and this guy did not have the courtesy or the table number did not have any etiquette at the table. And then a big guy, I went with him. So I quickly sent him a text. Sir, pick this one first, so that they don't see you anyhow. Do you know that that guy, anywhere he wants to, if I'm available, if he wants to go for any major event, he carries me along. Just by that tip. So take time also to even understand the etiquette at the table, because that's when you can get what, you know, you can also get learnings. Because once people see that you're a center of authority or influence, not necessarily just the way you talk, but by the way you show up, they would naturally defer to you. There's the there's an MD, I don't want to name the sector, and I will not say whether, okay, no, there's an MD that somehow cannot, when I'm at that table, not because of the fact that I have money, more money or whatever, is that they would wait that I order. If you go into a new place, you know, they'll wait that I order because they say, no, Taiwo knows about these things. Do you understand the kind of influence you can have? And then you now start to, as you speak about the meal, you can now start to talk about the business. Then you now say that Taiwo is lucky. It took time, it took effort. Anyway, let me not waste our time. And then the final E, the E in that table is that you are able to express your feelings, your odds, and your difficulties. And when we express, we release ourselves. And that way, we are boosted. You see, the things that you have put in your mind that is holding you back ultimately weighs you down. But when you have time to express, what happens that release would boost you. It's like when you cry, you feel lighter, and then it buoys your confidence. All right? One of the things I missed out on the learning is that you learn new vocabulary. You could just be, and that's why you must be attentive. There are so many things I learned that, particularly even new vocabulary, was learned at the table. You just hear somebody say one word. Oh, just a pose. Oh, you just hear someone. You take it and put it somewhere. And have you noticed that? Usually, let me tell you something that also usually happens. Have you noticed that in the times that we're in, there will be new words for new seasons and new eras? So usually, you know, so there was a time, and I'm sure some people agree with me. There was a time this word apparently was featuring on every other table. Now, they will now abuse it, right? But are you one of the first people that started to use apparently or succinctly or, you know, all those words? You think they just drop in there? It will be from somebody at one table, then somebody would have taken it and then will now want to use that word at the table. And then you will now not have the privilege of the table. You'll now be asking people, what does that mean? Please go and learn. And the learning is not going to go online. Yes, you can, learn table manners online. Learn all of that, etiquette. That's a to-do. So that you show up at the table. First, even if you're not carrying a gift, you're showing up to let people know that I know and I have value. Then go and learn etiquette and tips to table manners and all that. Don't just be gorging food, because this is the way to sustain reinvention. So you would have, and why is this important is that you have gotten it right, oh. You have gotten the journey right. You have been affirming, you have focused, you've created optimism, order, discipline, you are synergizing, but you are frustrating it because you don't know how to sit at the table. When you have even started to arrive, they invite you to the table, you don't even know how to sit at the table. And then you behave anyhow at the table, and then you would have truncated all your efforts because you lack how. I'm going to close with this. The labor of fools worries them because they do not know how. One of the things that we've been teaching over the last, 17 days, okay, today is, what day is today? Can anybody tell me? Today is day 17. Over the last 17 days, 18 days, but 17 days in practical, in class, is the fact that we've been sharing principles, immutable, infallible principles, that once you take a hold of it, you are able to alter and change, the equation, the final destination of your life. So can you imagine how intrinsic this issue around the table is? And the quote I sent in today into the Telegram group, I don't know if anybody has seen it. Let me quickly recall it. It says that, yes, if you are not at the table, you are on the menu. Think over it. Think about it. If you are not on the table where decisions are made, then you are on the menu. You are the one they're going to be deciding on or about. So which table do you need to be on now? That should also drive how you set your goals. Which associations? Like after I'm done here now, I have a Rotary meeting. I have a Rotary meeting I'm joining shortly. The meeting starts 7 a.m. in the Ikoyi Metro. So in that meeting, there's what you call fellowship, but you might not understand. But this particular meeting is is a deliberate meeting I'm attending. It's not every time I'm in Lagos I attend. I'm still a member, even though I'm not, I'm being between Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt. But you can be surprised at the kind of tables I gather. And then you now start to say the results I'm getting must be, using those silly guys. I heard somebody 2 weeks ago, I heard this new slang they use in Nigeria now, say, cut me soup. I'm like, sir, excuse me. Do you understand? Fully grown people, professionals, they say, okay, you have to cut us soup. Say, what does it mean? They say, that's the new slang now. I'm like, whoa. All right, and what does it mean? There are a couple of people now that go into diabolical means, and I understand that they have their bath in public just so that they can be affluent. Meanwhile, they are tools to be. God. Sorry, guys, I've kept you off your track. If I bored you, please just delete this from your mainframe. I'm sure it doesn't make sense to you, but for me, the table is a place where things are done, where nations decide, where people alter their life. Beyond the silent moment. This is your public appearance. This is the moment to alter the course of your life. So if you're sitting on the dinner table, even with the dates, be intentional, think, don't be gorging on the food, be eating as if your life depended on it. Go there to be aware. And this awareness, we talked about it, Dr. Labi talked about awareness. Awareness also is not only when you're alone, you can be aware. Use your 5 senses. You see, do you know at that time you can perceive? Be very deliberate and intentional about everything you do. You can perceive, not even just by smelling, the sense of the smell. Perceive also, you can perceive that the intentions. Anyway, so guys, I thank you for all that have consistently shown up, and I'm hoping that we can move on to greater journeys. And I ask that you commit yourself to the workings of God, and ask that He will give you the ability to be able to show up at the table, and that somehow that today you must decide that there are tables you have to start going to, there are tables you have to show up at, and that somehow by divine elements or the conspiracy of the elements, you start to know these tables. And I'm sure that even as we've spoken about this now, there'll be a deliberate attempt to see how we can show up at the table. I'd like to say thank you. I commit you into the hands of God, and I ask that today, is a blessed day, and all that you do, all right, towards the reinvention journey will be such that it will not just be for you, but it would impact all those around you. So share the news and let people know that reinvention is real. And I love the testimonials that we've gotten. Thank you all. Thank you. Yeah, we're seeing Susan for the first time in a long while. Susan, you need to go and watch all the replay, all right? But I'm sure you got the full benefit of today's insight. So we're meeting later on this evening, and we're going to be sharing some great insights, great insights, and you can watch all the replay on YouTube. Okay, so I have only a bottle of water. I tried to get the hotel to give me lime, but for whatever reasons, it just happened. So I'm just going to gorge on my water and then go for just quickly shower and go for my meeting shortly. But I'd like you all to charge your glasses. We usually infuse water with lime. So please go get your water infused and just toast to a beautiful day. I'll just be taking water alone right now. And then I hope you signed up for the losing 10 kg in 40 days. All right, that starts on the 20th. That's also part of the journey now. It's about doing. It's the doing that gets the job done. So get more people on that platform. And I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful morning and a beautiful day. So go forth and conquer, because the day is yours. All right. Have a wonderful